This week, I'm going back in time to the pattern that started it all. These were the socks that launched my very niche career as a sock knitting pattern designer. And I'm also going to be breaking one of my biggest rules. I'm going to be using heavily variegated, heavily speckled yarn to knit very textured socks. Normally, I advise against that, and you'll find out why I'm doing it in a minute, so all of that and more coming up. All right, this week I'm super excited to be going back and knitting one of my older patterns, and this is the pattern that kind of launched me as a sock knitting pattern designer. This is the one where I said, okay, this is what I want to focus on. This is the pattern that made me feel like, oh, this is right. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm talking about the Mermaid Avenue socks. These came out in 2020. This was kind of the first pattern that really garnered a lot of attention on social media, thanks to this picture. And more importantly, not only did this picture kind of gain some traction for me and bring in some new followers into kind of what I was doing, it also solidified for me my own personal style, right? When I looked at this picture, I was like, that's it. This is so me. This feels so perfectly me. And not only that, the pattern itself, the color, the texture, the cute little white cuff, all of it, it all just kind of clicked into place. And I felt very much like I was on the right path to kind of figuring out who I was, what I wanted to knit, what I wanted to design. So I am very, very nostalgic about the Mermaid Avenue socks, and I'm knitting them again this week for two reasons. One, because I've lost that pair. I don't know what happened to that pink pair. I can't find them anywhere. And I love this pattern in a really heavily speckled pink. It just looks so good. So I'd like to have a pair of pink ones again, since that one just completely disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it. The second reason is we're about to go to the beach, and there is no more perfect sock pattern to knit than the Mermaid Avenue socks when you're about to go to the beach. It just fits for obvious reasons. So that's what I'm doing this week. And now let's talk about yarn. So the initial pair of Mermaid Avenue socks that I knit, aside from that pink pair, was a tonal pair. And we had these lovely, it's an ombre effect. This was a sock set that I bought from Goosey Fibers, and it's the Zizou Fade sock set. And it was based on the character of Steve Zissou from the Wes Anderson movie, The Life Aquatic. Really beautiful sock set. I love this pattern in tonals. You can really clearly see that beautiful mermaid scale texture. But normally, I advise against knitting heavily textured patterns in variegated speckled yarn because you lose that texture. It kind of looks like a muddy mess. You don't know what to look at, the yarn or the stitch pattern. But for whatever reason, the Mermaid Avenue socks shine when you knit them in variegated and speckled yarn. It just makes that texture pop even more. So it's an exception to the rule. And of course, as always, this is just my opinion. If you want to knit cables or any texture stitch or lace in heavily variegated yarn, do what makes you happy. I'm just talking about my personal rules, my personal subjective opinion on what I think looks good. And in general, I think that tonals are great for lace, cables, and texture. Heavily variegated speckled yarn is great for basic socks because then the yarn gets a chance to shine and you're not hiding all of those beautiful texture and cables and lace stitches with a really loud, busy yarn. But like anything, there's always an exception, and Mermaid Avenue is just weird. I don't know why it looks so good and why the stitch pattern jumps out even more when you have, this really heavily variegated and speckled yarn, but it does. And here's an example. Look at that. This particular colorway is Hedgehog Fibers Fly. It's one of my favorite sock yarns. I love this color. I've knit with it several times. I will keep knitting with it for as long as they keep making it. It is such a beautiful colorway. And just look at how that texture, it just looks so good. And it pops even more in a speckled variegated yarn. This week, I'm very excited to recreate the pink pair that somehow went missing when I initially knit these the first time back in 2020. The last time that I knit this pattern, where it was this pair, and I knit these also at the beach. So I'm very, very excited to just make that a tradition that anytime I go to the beach, I'm just gonna go ahead and knit Mermaid Avenue socks. Oklahoma is a very landlocked state, so we don't have ocean anywhere near us. We have to drive quite a distance to get to any kind of ocean, so it's kind of a big deal. The first time I ever saw the ocean, I was in my 30s, and it was just a really profound, magical experience. So every time we get to go, it's like the most magical, exciting thing ever. And of course, I have to mark magical, exciting things with a pair of knit socks, and so this time is no different. So the yarn that I am going to be using this time is from Spun Right Round, and it's the colorway Tizzy. Beautiful, beautiful variegated speckled yarn, tons of pink all over it with lots of other colors speckled in. It's going to look absolutely amazing, I already know. And sometimes, like last week, for example, something looks really good in my head, and then I knit it, and I'm like, oh crap, that does not look as good knit up. But I know this week, I am like 95% sure this is gonna be a huge win. So I'm really anxious to get started. All right, 2 things to note. So the Mermaid Avenue pattern is absolutely available in my Ravelry store and on my website. And now through June 3rd, 2024, you can get it for 20% off if you also want to knit beautiful Mermaid Avenue socks for any kind of summer adventures you're gonna have, or even just for hanging out around the house because they're just so beautiful. The second thing is I also have a YouTube video that has a tutorial on how to make the mermaid stitch. It's very simple. It's not complicated at all. You'll memorize it really quick, and then you can just knit and knit without having to constantly refer to the instructions. Really easy to do. So I will link that pattern and I will link that tutorial video in the description below this video if you want to grab it and then watch the tutorial to know how to do it. Again, it's very, very simple, so you can knit it along with me and we can all have mermaid socks for the summer. So I'm going to go ahead, cast on, and get started. I will be copying this pair of socks. I want these to match. I want them to be a set because I think that pink speckled yarn is going to look so good with these. So I'm going to be copying these socks and doing a cream cuff and then cream toes, so that they kind of form a matching set, because I think these colors are going to look absolutely amazing together. And there is nothing I love more than a set of like matching socks that go together. All right, so let's cast on. All right, I worked very hard for about 12 minutes and knit 3 rounds of my cuff, but now it's time to take a little walk break. I have been making friends with a squirrel in our neighborhood park, and so I'm bringing him a little snack. Okay, my cuff is done, and now I am ready to start the body of the sock. I've got to take a teenager to a training session. She's doing camp counseling this summer, so I've got to take her to a training thing. Then I got to come back, eat lunch, and then I am getting started on the body of this sock with my beautiful pink speckled and variegated yarn. And I cannot wait to see what this looks like when I start knitting it. Okay, I have now eaten lunch and it's time to add in my main color. Once again, this is Tizzy by Spun Right Round. It's just a beautiful variegated color, primarily pinks, but it's obviously got a lot of other colors in there. Before I start knitting though, let's do a little braces update. I have had them for almost 2 months now, and it is honestly insane. Like, how fast they've worked and how they have already changed my smile so much. So I'm going to show you the before. So this is what we were working with when we started. My bottom teeth kind of curved inward. I had a lot of like teeth that were recessed behind other teeth, and it was just, yeah, they were very crooked. So now after 2 months, here's what we're working with. Like, huge difference. So even though they are painful and annoying, it's hard to eat and like all the things, I would say it's worth it. Like, it's crazy how much of a difference it's made in just 2 months. Although I am confused why I have to wear them for 1.5 years. It feels like we're 90% there. Like, you told me 1.5 years, so I guess it's gonna be, you know, I've got a while more to go. But I am very happy with the progress so far, and even though adult braces are really difficult, much more painful than juvenile braces, definitely worth it. My secret hope, and this is probably wildly unrealistic, but my secret hope is that like my teeth are moving like super fast, and like the next time I go to the orthodontist for like a tightening, he'll look at my teeth and be like, this is the fastest movement I've ever seen. We don't need to do 1.5 years. You're almost done. We just need like a few more months. I know that's probably not going to happen, but like, I have hope that it will. I just really do have hope that he will look at my teeth and be like, well, my work here is almost done. But I know that's not going to happen, but wouldn't it be nice? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and join in my new color, my beautiful variegated speckled yarn. I'm going to start knitting the mermaid stitch pattern. Once again, there is a tutorial in case you want to see the mermaid stitch pattern in action. I show you how it's done. Not only that, the pattern itself has tutorials as well to kind of walk you through it. So you can read it in the pattern, which again is 20% off now through June 3rd, 2024. And then you can also watch the tutorial video if you're still a little unsure, but it's a very easy stitch to make, memorizes like that, and you'll be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and join it in. My goal is to finish the leg by the end of the day. I want like half of this sock done. So I've got a cuff right now on the sock I'm working on, and I want to get all the way to here. So I want to knit all of this before the end of the day. I am known for setting lofty goals and then hardly ever making them. But this time I want to do it. I want to just knit furiously the rest of the day and finish this leg so I can start the day tomorrow, which is to heel in the foot to go. And I plan on doing the foot only in stockinette like I did with this one. So the pattern, it's written where you can do this pattern all the way down the foot. For this pair, I chose to just knit the mermaid stitch pattern on the leg. And because I want a matching set, I'm going to do that with this new pair, this pink pair that I'm knitting as well. Just doing it on the leg, stopping the mermaid stitch pattern, and just knitting straight stockinette on the foot. So I'm gonna get started because I've got a lot of knitting to do in order to meet my goal. Okay, it's a new day. Did I finish the leg of my sock last night? I did. Oh, it looks so good. Do you see what I mean about how this particular stitch pattern just seems to shine with variegated, heavily speckled yarn? I don't know what it is. Normally I'm kind of firmly against that, but this looks absolutely stunning. The texture with that yarn, it just looks so good. I'm so happy with it. And when you put it next to that, like, oh, it's just so happy and so vibrant and so pretty. Perfect summer socks. So now I'm on to the heel turn, gusset decreases. Ideally, I need to finish this sock today. I think it's like 9:30. I've already been out. We've gone to the grocery store, gone to get coffee. So it's 9:30. I really need to finish this sock today because, like I said, we're leaving for the beach soon, and I want to get this sock done before then because getting everyone packed, organized for a road trip to the beach with 4 people, 2 teenagers, 2 adults, it's a Herculean task. So I'd like to get this done before then because I've got projects that I want to start for the road trip to the beach. So I kind of need to wrap this up today. Last night, I did finish the leg on my sock. And that was awesome because normally when I tell you, oh, I think I can get this much done in a day, I never do, but I did it last night. So this is going to be my major task for the day. Can I finish the heel turn, gusset decreases, foot and toe all in one day? We'll see, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, I'm cruising right along. I'm staying focused. I have got the heel turn, the heel flap, the gusset decreases all done. And now it's just straight knitting of the foot. So I'm just cruising right along. I'm doing good. We're now entering the afternoon, however. And that is typically when it all falls apart for me. I am definitely a morning person. I wake up early. I get a lot done in the morning. I'm very focused. And then I eat lunch and it just all goes to hell in a handbasket. Like I get so sleepy in the afternoon, I lose motivation. I just want to laze around, read, putter around. Like I do not have the same work ethic in the afternoon that I do in the morning. So this is where the real challenge will begin. It was easy for me to like get a lot of knitting done this morning, but the afternoon is where we're really going to find out if I can actually finish the entire foot and toe of this sock by nightfall. I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to eat lunch and then put on, I think, Band of Brothers. It's been a long time since I've watched that, and I'm kind of in the mood for like a World War II era like drama, and Band of Brothers is excellent. It's like a mini series. It's on Max. If you've never seen it, it's really, really good. So I'm going to put that on this afternoon in the hopes that an engaging television show will help me stay focused for my knitting. Okay, so for some reason, I don't know what's gotten into me today, but I am on fire. Like I am cruising right along on this foot. Watching Band of Brothers, it's so good. And so that's keeping me alert and engaged. Beasley, not so much. She's napping. Kind of wish I could join her, but I'm actually doing really good. I am moving very fast on this foot. It's straight stockinette knitting. I love knitting stockinette. It's really relaxing. It's meditative. Yes, it can get a little boring sometimes, but sometimes you kind of need boring. And I am just enjoying the heck out of this foot. So I don't know. I feel like I might actually be able to pull this off and finish this foot today. We're under a tornado watch again. Like this has been a very active tornado season. Some years it's super quiet. You hardly get anything. And this year it's just been kind of wild. So it's a new morning, and the big question is, did I finish my sock last night? And I did. I actually knit this sock in 2 days. I did the leg one day, and I did the heel and the foot and the toe on day 2, and it turned out perfectly. It was exactly what I was looking for. Just a beautiful speckled pink mermaid sock, and I love it. And thanks to the magic of television, I've got 2. I did knit the second sock, so I've got a perfect pair of pink mermaid socks. It turned out absolutely beautiful. I love the texture of this pattern, and it really does just sing in speckled yarn. So if you've got a lot of variegated speckled yarn and you're looking for a pattern that is just a little bit more than basic, for some reason, Mermaid Avenue works really, really well with speckled variegated yarn. So it's a great pattern to use if you've got a lot of that in your stash. It knits up beautifully, and it is just one of those patterns where the stitch pattern looks really great and then the yarn looks really great. Both of them work together harmoniously to create such a cool sock. And it pairs perfectly with my other pair that I knit like 4 years ago. They look so good together. Just a beautiful little set of happy, colorful mermaid socks for the summer. And I'm just over the moon. I love them so much. So I'm going to show you what they look like on feet, because of course that's always different than just holding them up. So let's take a look at how they look when you're wearing them. This week was so much fun. I had such a great time revisiting the Mermaid Avenue pattern. It's been 4 years since I've knit it. I forgot what a fun pattern it is to knit. I love that it's a pattern I can use to use up some of my speckled variegated yarn that I have in my stash that I am slowly trying to work through in whatever way I can. So this is a great pattern to use it on, and I really, really enjoyed knitting these socks this week. So happy to have a pink pair of these back in my life again. Still have no idea what happened to the original pink pair I knit, but at least now I have a replacement. So Once again, this pattern is 20% off through June 3rd, 2024. The link to that pattern in my Ravelry store on my website is in the description below the video, along with a link to a tutorial video if you're a little nervous about the mermaid stitch. If it looks complicated to you, I promise it's not. It's a very easy stitch to make. There's also a tutorial in the pattern itself for it. So if you prefer written tutorials as opposed to video, I've got you covered there as well. You can also find my email address, links to my Ravelry store, my website, all the things in the description below the video. Thank you for watching and for all of your comments. I've been having such a blast making these videos, and I will see you back again next week.